Good afternoon and welcome to our 2:30 land use meeting. If you will all please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Attorney Ingalls, do we have certification of the agenda?
We do, Mr. Chair. Item 2A on your agenda did not require any specialized notice, but it was properly noticed for today's meeting. Item 3A required published and posted notice. That was accomplished on May 20th and May 20th, respectively. With that, you have proper notice and jurisdiction on both items on the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Ingalls. And do we have any commissioner disclosures for any items on the agenda?
I have none, thank you.
No, sir.
Thank you, Commissioners. So we will move into our land use meeting agenda items. The first item we have is Stonegate filing number 22, Eighth Amendment Project File SB 2020-006 with Mike Pesica presenting for staff. Mike? Yes. Okay, sure. So, we're having some technical issues with the audio. So what we'll do is recess for about 5 minutes while IT gets this sorted out. Thank you.
texted it to transport out, so he knows. I just wanted to let you know how that worked out.
Okay, that's fine.
It wasn't me. I got a phone call and asked to do it. And you tell me what you need too. It's a two-way street.
Back from recess. Thank you, IT, for getting that resolved with the audio. Mr. Pasica.
Thank you, Commissioner Layden. Mike Pasica, representing Planning Services. And the project before you is Stonegate Filing 22, 8th Amendment, Lot 89A replat, project number SB 2020-006, and Stonegate 150 LLC is the owner of the property. The request is to replat the existing Lot 89A into 65 townhome and condominium lots on 12.822 acres. The replat process begins with the submittal of an application, following a review period by referral agencies and the public. There is a public meeting before the Board of County Commissioners. Comments from surrounding neighbors were received with concerns regarding traffic, parking, and adding more residential units to the area. A concurrent site improvement plan application for the townhome and condominium development is currently being reviewed. This process is administrative and will address several of these issues. Comments from referral agencies have been addressed by the applicant. We take a look at the zoning of the property right in the center of the map. The property is outlined in red. It's situated northwest of the intersection of Market Street and Jordan Road. The site is located within the Parker Municipal Planning Area of the Douglas County 2040 Comprehensive Master Plan. The property is zoned planned development as part of the Stonegate PD within Planning Area 20, which allows for both residential and commercial development as a use by right. Take a look at an aerial of the property. Again, it's outlined in red. E470 runs along the north side of the property, and along the south side is Alzier Place. The 12th Amendment to the Stonegate Plan Development was approved in August of 2014, adding residential uses as a use by right in Planning Area 20. The final plat for Stonegate Filing 22, 6th Amendment, was approved in 2018 for 88 single-family lots and 1 superblock lot for future multifamily development. The site is currently undeveloped, and a concurrent site improvement plan for the development is in process. We take a look at the replat exhibit. This is a request to replat Lot 89A into 65 lots for a townhome and condominium development. The request includes 50 townhome lots, 6 lots for condominiums, and 9 lots for detached garages for condominium parking. The proposed lot sizes and uses are consistent with the adjacent development to the south and meet the minimum standards required by the Stonegate PD. Look at some site photos. This is standing on Alberta Drive, looking directly to the south. You can see the existing condominium development. Again, this is standing on Alberta Drive, looking off to the southeast. The property is generally flat. It slopes gently from west to east. And this is standing, this is the cul-de-sac where Alberta Drive ends, and this is approximately the location of the proposed secondary emergency access for the site. And one last photo, this is standing on Alzier Place, looking off towards the northeast. These are the approval standards for a replat, which are discussed in detail on pages 7 through 9 of the staff report. As it relates to approval standards 704.10, Public Works Engineering has now reviewed and finally accepted the applicant's traffic impact study. Staff has evaluated the replat request in accordance with Article 7 of the Douglas County Subdivision Resolution. Should the board find that the approval standards for the replat are met, the following proposed conditions should be considered for inclusion in the motion. As noted in the supplemental information provided to you on Friday, the original proposed condition number 4 related to the traffic signal contribution has been removed. There are now 4 proposed conditions of approval. Condition number 1, prior to recordation of the replat exhibit, technical corrections to the plat exhibit shall be made to the satisfaction of Douglas County. Condition number 2, prior to recordation of the replat exhibit, water and sewer easements for the Stonegate Village Metropolitan District will be executed and recorded. Condition number 3, prior to recordation of the replat exhibit, the HOA must be formed to execute the acceptance certificate on the replat exhibit. And condition number 4, all commitments and promises made by the applicant or the applicant's representative during the public meeting and/or agreed to in writing and included in the public record have been relied upon by the Board of County Commissioners in approving the application. Therefore, such approval is conditioned upon the applicant's full satisfaction of all such commitments and promises. Section 706.06 of the subdivision resolution sets forth the parameters for the board's determination on replat requests as noted on this slide. And this concludes staff's presentation. I can take questions at this time, or I can turn it over to the applicant as they do have a presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Pasica. Any questions for staff?
I do have one question. You said that the requirement to participate in the signal had been withdrawn. That was only a small, like a 2.7% or something contribution. Why was that no longer required?
It was through further review by engineering services, it was determined that the Metropolitan District had satisfied the contribution towards the future construction of that traffic signal, so the applicant's not required to contribute.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I have no other questions.
Thank you, Commissioner Thomas. Commissioner Teal?
No questions.
Mr. Pesik, I just have a couple of questions. In the packet, there was certainly a reference to the Department of Water Resources referencing the adequacy of water supply. It sounds like that has been addressed since DWR sent that particular letter. Is that correct?
Commissioner Layden, that's correct. It has been addressed.
Okay. And then further on in the packet, Tri-County Health Department talked a little bit about noise issues and wastewater odor from a wastewater facility nearby. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
There is an existing wastewater treatment plant to the north of E470, and they had made a recommendation that residential uses be located a certain distance from that use. However, there are already several residential uses that are located roughly the same distance as this one, so we felt that this would not be inconsistent with what's been previously approved.
Okay, thank you. I don't have any further questions. With that,
In
sorry, go ahead.
addition,
Yeah.
that sewage treatment plant was updated a few years ago to have certain enclosures, so they really improved the odor situation for the neighborhood. So that occurred a few years ago.
Okay, thanks, Jeanette. With that, we will move into the applicant's presentation. And sir, if you could just state your name and address for the record.
Hello, my name is, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
My name is Paul Shukas. I'm with PCS Group. Our address is 200 Calumet Street in Denver, 80223.
Thank you. Please proceed.
Thank you. First, thanks for being here in person, actually, today. This is my first in-person meeting in over a year and a half to any city or county officials. It's pretty refreshing. And it's kind of funny. It's nice to see that there's still technical difficulties, whether we're doing it digitally or
You didn't think we could mute each other when we were off Zoom, right? But we're doing it.
But at least you have some people now in staff to help with those difficulties. So thanks. It's refreshing to be here. Thanks also, Mike and Jeanette and staff for liaisoning us through this public process. Anytime there's a public process, there's a lot of moving parts, and it's always good to have great backing by county staff to help guide you through the process. So kudos to you all. You can turn the slide. So I'm going to be really brief with my presentation. I know you have other things on the docket this evening or this afternoon. I'm going to introduce our design team. Some of them are here in person. Other will have to call in over the phone if you have any questions for them. I'll introduce the applicant. I'll talk a little bit about the neighborhood outreach, end up on the final plat, and then we're here to answer any questions. Mike? So Local Homes is the applicant. They're the developer. They develop and have their own in-house architects, and they're the builder for the property. We have Altura Survey, who helped us with the final plat. They can call in, as well as our civil engineer, Dewberry. I'm representing the landscape architecture and land planning component of the project, which is PCS Group. And then LSC was our traffic consultant, who can also call in if you have any questions. Mike? So Local Homes, they are locally owned and operated. They have quite a few communities all up and down the Front Range, from Loveland to basically Colorado Springs. They specialize in single family attached and condominium product. And as you can see, we're really excited to be working with them and hope that you're as excited about this community as we are. Mike? Okay, so a little bit about our neighborhood outreach. We had a neighborhood meeting at the Field House in Parker last year. That guided a lot of the site planning that shaped this final plat before you today. Staff sent out two different kind of in progress, if you will, letters to adjacent HOAs and neighbors as part of the process. We went through quite a few different design review meetings with the Stonegate Valley Metropolitan District. There's two actually districts within. One of the districts is going to be owning and maintaining one of the parks within the parcel. It was really important that our expectations were met, and so with theirs, there's a lot of different amenities within Stonegate. We didn't want to overlap those amenities. So that also helped shape the pocket park within the community. And then at our neighborhood meeting, as you can see, we spoke about traffic, parking, community amenities, design, price point, construction timetable, those kinds of things. Mike? So Mike has already gone over where the site is. It's a great infill property. As you can see, we're 12 acres surrounded by residential uses. They're compatible uses within the PD, which has pretty much also helped guide the site plan and final plat before you. Mike? This is what the final plat actually looks like. It's basically the skeleton behind our SIP. One more, Mike, please. So this exhibit Mike showed you, what we tried to do here was just overlay the site plan with the final plat. The site plan obviously helps dictate how the final plat bones are sculpted and shaped out. So now you can begin to see the open space corridors between the condominium buildings, the different park spaces. The one park that we were just talking about was a commitment within the PD that's in the bottom right-hand corner. That's going to have a couple of different play features and climbing features along with, a picnic shelter and things like that. And I don't want to get too into the weeds on the site plan because this is a final plat hearing, but it's kind of important for you to see how the final plat came to fruition. So like Mike said, we'll have an emergency access on Alberta Drive, which is that cul-de-sac to try to limit traffic. Once again, neighborhood meeting stuff. We'll have an access point off of Alzire Place, kind of in the middle there, that comes into our community. And then you can kind of see all the pedestrian connectivity and green spaces. Mike? You can do this again. I don't think I'm going to go over the compliance with Article 7 unless you want me to. We feel like since this is an infill property, there's already a lot of inherent compliances with it, sewer, water. We've addressed, we're basically in compliance with Article 7 of the Douglas County zoning resolution. I think that's all we have to say there. And I think with that, we're respectfully requesting your approval this afternoon. So thank you. And I can stand up here or sit down. It's up to you if you have any questions.
If you could just stay with us and welcome to an in-person meeting as well. We're pleased to have you here. Do we have any commissioner questions for the applicant?
I do have a couple of questions. Thank you for being here. There were two complaint letters that I read, one from Ms. Pacheco, one from Mr. Mushira, I think. And so have you addressed those two individuals? Do you know what their letter said?
Yeah, they were regarding traffic, correct? And I think that I think some of their suggestions would have initiated moving the exit ramp from 470 in order to address that. So what we tried to do was explain to them that the roads and the access points where we've actually proposed them are an improvement over where the PD showed them. And the roads, given their design criteria, have been designed for more traffic than what was slated for this parcel. So we're proposing 150 units. I think this parcel was slated back in the day for quite a few hundred more. So that was how we were addressing their comments.
Thank you. And there was a comment that the HOA needs to be formed. How will that happen, and when do you expect that to take place?
So because I don't think I'm the best qualified to answer that, I can call up local homes. It would be something that they would be forming as part of their community. Thomas, would you like to come up and answer that question, please?
Sir, if you could just state your name and address.
Tommy Pucciano, Local Homes. So we have formed the HOA. It will
And sir, can you provide your address?
Sure, 8310 South Valley Highway, Suite 115, Inglewood.
Thank you.
The HOA has been formed, and we will be signing the plat as the declarant. And then as homeowners come online, we'll transition the HOA to a homeowner-controlled board. And they'll
Okay.
take over the functions of that.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
And Mr. Pucciano, I think I understand how to spell your last name, but in case there are those that don't know how to spell it, if you could just share that.
Pucciano.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sure.
Questions from Commissioner Teal?
No questions.
Okay. I'll just go back, and either you or Mr. Shuka can answer this. I'll just go back to the questions I had for Mr. Pasica with regard to the wastewater odor and the noise issues raised by Tri-County Health Department. In your process and engagement with the referring agencies, did you make any modifications to the final plat based upon that input?
For the
Noise
odor,
mitigation primarily. It sounds like the odor may be taken care of with
Sure.
the wastewater facility. But
yeah, we did have a sound consultant on board, and they provided, sound contours on our map. We did position the buildings themselves to act as a sound barrier. One thing that's not clear, maybe you could go back a couple of slides if you don't mind. The Plat overlay, yeah. So one thing that's not clear is everything along 470 to the north, those are all existing easements, IREA, Stonegate Village Metro District, et cetera. We couldn't build any kind of sound attenuation device in that area. So we actually constructed our buildings with sound attenuation in the construction to shield interior green spaces on the project. And that's how our sound consultant was able to get the requirements met for any kind of sound LDN zones.
Great, that's helpful. Thank you very much. I don't have any further questions. Any further questions for the applicant from the board? Okay, thank you. At this point, we will open it up for, and actually, I'm sorry, let me ask you, as the applicant, do you agree to the 4 conditions as presented?
Yes, we do.
You do, okay, thank you. With that, I will open it up for citizen comment with regard to this issue. Is there any citizen comment? Seeing none in the gallery. Troy, do we have any online?
I have no hands raised, sir.
Okay. With no additional citizen comment, I'll bring it back to the board for additional questions or discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I didn't have a whole lot of questions about this one because this is a really good packet to come before the board, in my opinion. First and foremost, I appreciate the fact the design considerations that the developers took in mind. I mean, we are seeing you could have built to a higher density. And so I, for one, right off the bat, appreciated bringing down the 65 residential lots from the, I believe it was the 88 that we saw prior approved. So I appreciate that. The design considerations that you did take into effect, particularly with the highway noise, I really appreciated that. And then lastly, I appreciated what you guys did with your primary entrance, moving that around in order to deal with some of the complaints that we saw come in the packet dealing with traffic. So, boy, this is kind of what I like to see in terms of development. Okay, looks like you took into consideration the neighbors. It's an infill development. You have neighbors that are there now, and I appreciate developers coming in and being good neighbors. So I definitely am in favor of moving forward with an approval on the project. And Chair, if when you are ready for a motion, I'm happy to make one.
Thank you, Commissioner Teal. Commissioner Thomas.
I would just like to make one comment that last night I went over all of the approval standards, and it appears to me that every one of them have been met, and so I will be in favor of this application.
Thank you for doing that, Commissioner Thomas. And I would agree. I believe that all the approval standards and under the legal criteria for 704 at SEC have been met. And I would agree with Commissioner Teal that we always appreciate when those in the development community come to Douglas County. We're open for business here, but you've also taken the time to engage with citizens, engage with the public, have that conversation, make design modifications for green space, noise mitigation, and it looks like a fantastic product that's really going to benefit our county. So I will be in support as well.
Mr. Chair, if it pleases the board, I'd like to make a motion to approve the Stonegate filing number 22, 8th Amendment, with 4 conditions as presented, project file SB 2020-006.
Second.
I have a first and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that motion passes. Congratulations. At this time, we will move to our public hearing agenda item, which is the Sterling Ranch Preliminary Plan 6. Mr. Thomas, are you presenting for us today?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Brett Thomas representing Plan Services. Project before you is Sterling Ranch Preliminary Plan Number 6, project number SB 2019-073. Sterling Ranch LLC is the owner, and Susan Beckman is the project representative. The applicant proposes 700 residential lots, 6 superblock lots for future development, 51 tracks, and associated public roads and private alleys on 245.57 acres. Of the 700 residential lots, 444 will be single-family detached lots, 152 will be duplex lots, and 104 will be attached townhome lots. The intent of the preliminary plan is to provide an in-depth analysis of the proposed subdivision, including a review of the design, considering the ability to obtain water and sanitation, identify geologic hazards, environmentally sensitive areas, wildlife habitat areas, source of required services, vehicular and pedestrian circulation, storm drainage and water quality, relationship to surrounding land uses, and conformance with the master plan. The preliminary plan process begins with submittal of an application. Following a review period by referral agencies and the public, there are public hearings before the Planning Commission and Board of County Commissioners. The Planning Commission considered the applicant's request for approval at a public hearing on June 7th. Commissioners asked the applicant questions regarding the status of the school site approvals within Sterling Ranch. The applicant indicated one site was already dedicated with filing 1 and can be built on at any time. The applicant noted other potential sites within filings 5 and 6 or other areas that will be subject to subdivision requests in the future. An additional question was asked about the status of the water delivery system for Sterling Ranch. The applicant explained that the main delivery infrastructure is in place and that a new groundwater well would be drilled when demands warranted additional water. No members of the public spoke at the hearing. Planning Commission recommended approval of the preliminary plan, subject to the 5 conditions proposed by staff by a vote of 6-0. The site is located in the southeast portion of Sterling Ranch Plan Development, west of the intersection of Waterton Road and Moore Road. To the east of Moore Road is the Douglas County Emergency Vehicles Operations Center and general industrial properties. South of the site are large rural residential lots within Plum Valley Heights, as well as unplatted portions of the Sterling Ranch PD. Sterling Ranch Filing 5A is located west of the site, and to the north of the site are filings 4A and 4B. Public Service Company of Colorado owns additional land north of the site for transmission lines. The site was rezoned from Agricultural 1, Rural Residential, and General Industrial to Plan Development with approval of the Sterling Ranch PD by the board in July of 2013. Associated with the approval of Sterling Ranch PD, board also approved the Sterling Ranch Water Supply Standards Appeal for certain provisions to Section 18A of the Douglas County Zoning Resolution. The first phase of development within Sterling Ranch was approved by the board in 2015 under the title Sterling Ranch Filing 1. Since then, several additional final plats and replats for filings 2, 3, 4, and 5 have also been approved. This application proposes 700 residential lots, 6 superblock lots for future development, and 51 tracks. The design preserves Sterling Gulch and open space tracks and provides approximately 73 acres of open space overall. Proposed Tract A is designated as the Sterling Gulch Wildlife Corridor. In accordance with the PD, the width of the corridor may vary, but shall not be less than 300 feet wide at any given point. Portions of land immediately north and west of Plum Valley Heights are designated as Special Character Zone A in the PD. The intent of Special Character Zone A is to provide an appropriate transition and buffer to the existing large residential lots, including a landscape buffer west of Plum Valley Heights, minimum 2.3 acre perimeter lots, and a maximum height of 1 story, excluding attics and basements. The proposed perimeter lots meet the minimum lot size requirements of Special Character Zone A. Superblock lots 701 through 706 are included in the preliminary plan for subdivision design purposes only. Further development within these superblock lots will trigger additional land use processes, including a determination of water supply adequacy. This is a view looking south into preliminary plan 6 from future intersection of Waterton Road and Eagle River Street. Homes located within Plum Valley Heights are visible in the distance. Here's a view looking west into the site from future intersection of Moore Road and Street D. And Here is a view from the terminus of Trail North Drive located within Plum Valley Heights. This is a view looking west towards proposed superblock lot 706. These are the approval standards for preliminary plan, which are discussed in detail in the staff report. These standards in the applicant's water supply plan are also discussed in the staff report. At the preliminary plan stage of review, the appeal requires that the applicant demonstrate a water supply and delivery system that is sufficient in terms of quantity, quality, and dependability. Most referral comments were standard in nature. More specific comments from the Douglas County School District and Plum Valley Heights were received. In its April response letter, the school district noted a concern regarding capacity to meet the needs of the Sterling Ranch PD at build-out. The school district requested approval of the application be postponed until the owner and school district entered into a mutually acceptable site dedication agreement. The school district provided an updated letter on June 4th, indicating the owner has since provided a draft site dedication agreement. The school district withdrew its objection to approval of preliminary plan 6, with the expectation that the owner will obtain a rezoning to allow for a school site within preliminary plan 6, as well as enter into a mutually acceptable site dedication agreement with the school district. Regarding Plum Valley Heights HOA, the HOA provided comment letters during all 3 referral periods. Primary concerns noted involved the exhibit, narrative, traffic, size of perimeter lots, and the wildlife corridor. In its March 11th, 2021 letter, the HOA noted its support for removal of the proposed school site within Special Character Zone A, as reflected in the most recent preliminary plan request. The HOA continued to express concerns with traffic impacts, particularly to Moore Road, concerns about the labeling of Special Character Zone and applicable development standards for the perimeter lots were raised. The applicant has provided a written response to comments as contained within the staff report, and will provide more discussion on the school district's comments and a potential for a school site within this preliminary plan as part of its presentation. Should the board find that the approval standards for the preliminary plan are met, the following proposed conditions should be considered for inclusion in its motion. Condition number 1, prior to recordation of the final plat, the applicant shall provide payment in the amount of $1,500 per single-family detached unit to the Douglas County School District for capital mitigation. For multifamily units within the final plat, the applicant shall provide payment in the amount of $750 per unit to the Douglas County School District for capital mitigation prior to site plan approval. Condition number 2, prior to recordation of the final plat, the applicant shall provide payment to Douglas County for the pro rata share costs towards improvements to the state highway system in accordance with commitments set forth in the Sterling Ranch PD. Condition number 3, Colorado Division of Wildlife literature shall be made available to both prospective homeowners and home buyers concerning the possible presence of wildlife and shall be available at all times. Condition number 4, a burrowing owl survey shall be performed if any earth moving will begin between March 15th and October 31st. Condition number 5, technical corrections to the record copy of the preliminary plan exhibit shall be made to the satisfaction of Douglas County. And condition number 6, all commitments and promises made by the applicant or the applicant's representative during the public hearing and/or agreed to in writing and included in the public record have been relied upon by the Board of County Commissioners in approving the application. Therefore, such approval is conditioned upon the applicant's full satisfaction of all such commitments and promises. Section 405.08 of the subdivision resolution sets forth the parameters for the board's determination on preliminary plan requests as noted on this slide. This concludes staff's presentation. I'm available to take questions at this time. Otherwise, Susan Beckman with Sterling Ranch Development is available to further discuss the request.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas, for that presentation. Any questions for staff?
I have none, thank you.
No, sir.
Okay, I have a couple of questions, but I'll reserve those following the applicant's presentation. So we'll move into the applicant's presentation.
Thank you. Susan, S-U-S-A-N, Beckman, 8155 Piney River Avenue, Suite 200, Littleton, Colorado, 80125. Good afternoon. I will agree with the past applicants that it's good to be meeting in person today, even though I will say it feels a little strange to be on this side of the dais because many of you know that I sat on that side of the dais for almost 20 years. In the 12 years I was a county commissioner, Arapahoe and Douglas County were some of the fastest growing counties in the nation. During those years, I sat through some pretty significant and large land use cases, and so I know how much time and effort it takes for everyone involved, the community, the staff, the commissioners, to make sure that you have quality development. And I know that you want quality development in Douglas County, and our goal today is the same. I want to thank you for taking the time today to hear our case, and I'd like to extend an invitation out to Sterling Ranch. We got a lot of dirt being moved out there and a lot of changes happening, and so anytime you want to come out and take a tour, we'd love to have you come and see the wonderful things that are happening with Sterling Ranch. And I'd also like to thank the Douglas County planning staff, Public Works, and Engineering for their professionalism and public service. It has truly been a pleasure to work with them. I'd like to introduce the, I don't want to do that. Can you help me, Brett? Thank you. I'd like to introduce the Sterling Ranch representatives. With me today is Brock Smethos, President, Sterling Ranch Development Company, and Eric Barney, Director of Engineering, Sterling Ranch Development Company. We have our Sterling Ranch community, Andrea Cole, Manager, Dominion Water and Sanitation District, Denise Haganes, General Manager, Sterling Ranch Community Authority Board. We have with us also Cassie Slade, Principal, Fox Tuttle Transportation Group, Brian Hart, Associate Principal, Redland, Curtis Davidson, Senior Landscape Architect, PCS Group Incorporated, and Pat McGraw, who is our Education Consultant. Pat was the Chief of Staff for the Douglas County School District for many years and involved in school choice and long-range planning. We brought along our community in case you have questions. We want to make sure that you get comprehensive, accurate, and complete answers so that you feel good about your vote today. I want to help you catch your bearings a little bit here. Remember, the mountains are on the west. Sterling Ranch is located 4 miles south of C-470 on Untitled Road, approximately 1 mile west of Santa Fe. So, of course, that's Moore Road, and you have Santa Fe to the east. You also have Roxborough State Park. Chatfield State Park is to the north, and of course, Lockheed Martin campus. And we have built about 300 additional homes since this picture was taken. Sterling Ranch is an incredible place to live. It's filled already with wonderful families. The development honors the rolling terrain and the very essence of what makes Douglas County and Colorado a special place to live, work, and raise a family. Sterling Ranch last year was the #1 selling master plan community, and that was last year, but we expect to be, again, the #1 best-selling master planned community. So currently, and this is the approved PD from 2013, there's 3,400 total acres with an anticipated 1,300 acres of open space trails and an estimated 30 miles of interconnected trails. The approved planned development had 12,050 homes, over 1,000 occupied homes currently with 3 active villages, the Providence, Ascent, and Prospect. We have 2,570 home sites platted or under development. And our housing stock includes single-family, multifamily, townhomes, and multi-generational homes. Full build-out will not be for another 20 years. So I just want to show you this picture, aerial view of Sterling Ranch. This is the edge, our Sterling Center, where the Sterling Ranch Development Company offices. We have all the social beverages right here. We have Atlas Coffee and Grist Brewery. We also have UC Medical Center, primary and urgent care, and a lot of other offices there. It is really quite a place for families to meet and spend time with us. The land right here to the right, that is actually land that has been deeded to county commissioners. It's the first school site. It is ready to build. Tomorrow we can build a school in this very prominent, very beautiful location in Sterling Ranch. This is a great picture of some of the infrastructure. Of course, Waterton Road, the traffic circle, the 10-foot concrete paths along Waterton Road that will go into Eagle River Street, and we're going to talk a lot about Eagle River Street in the preliminary Plan 6. I wanted to add this picture because this is the overlook. I'm sure in past land use cases you've heard about our new recreational facility, and it's built and it's open and people love it. It's a great place to rest and relax for our residents. This is also Blue River Avenue. I'd just like to point out the infrastructure because of the wonderful green medians and the detached sidewalks. Sterling Ranch is nationally and locally recognized for conscientious land planning, water sustainability, and energy efficiency. Our homes, all our homes contain 1 gig of internet. So what does that mean? It means the internet in Sterling Ranch is smoking hot fast. And it also means that during COVID and the public health emergency, we were ready. When our families had 2 people working at home and kids going to school online and someone playing gaming and someone watching Netflix, there were no glitches. It's really important for our community to have high-speed internet. Every home also has a tremendous amount of technology to monitor utility uses, gas, electric, and water, giving residents real-time data that helps them conscientiously conserve resources. This is a list of national and Colorado home builders at Sterling Ranch. There's quite a few out there. It's a very busy place. These are businesses that employ thousands of direct and building trades employees in Douglas County and Colorado. The parentheses show some of the consolidations that has happened within the building community. Preliminary Plan 6 complies with Douglas County Subdivision Resolution's approval criteria for the preliminary plan. Preliminary Plan 6 complies with, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Preliminary Plan 6. Right here is the outline. Of course, this is Moore Road, Plum Valley. This is the outline of Preliminary Plan 6. It is 245 acres, 444 single-family detached residential lots, 152 single-family duplex lots, 104 attached townhome lots, and 6 superblock lots for commercial, residential, or other type of development. PP6 complies with the 2040 Comprehensive Master Plan. It proposes urban development in a designated urban area. It's located within the Chatfield urban area. It provides appropriate regional trails, equestrian trails, and significant open space. It prolongs the life of water resources, maximizes the efficient use of water, supports long-term water supply planning, and promotes education about water. And it fosters cooperation with surrounding jurisdictions and service providers. I'd like to point out that this picture was taken from the dedicated school site by the Edge, the Sterling Ranch Civic Center, and right from that site. And so I'd like to move and just talk a little bit about the school district. Well, we've looked at a lot of the school site 1. Sterling Ranch has worked for years in an open and transparent way with the Douglas County School District and the Board of County Commissioners, and we will continue to work together in a cooperative manner. The goal of Sterling Ranch has always been to have high-quality neighborhood schools within the Sterling Ranch community. And I do think it's important that we just go down the list of what has happened and kind of the negotiations and what we've been up to for the last several years. Pursuant to the Sterling Ranch PD, we pay $1,500 per single-family detached residential homes and $750 per multifamily units. That's per the PD that was approved in 2013. Sterling Ranch has paid to date in capital mitigation fees totaling $3,456,750,000. We've worked with the Douglas County School District for 2 years in changes in Douglas County School District leadership and COVID. You all know that kind of caused some glitches to dedicate sites in Sterling Ranch. And before the first permit was even pulled in Sterling Ranch, we dedicated a 12.4 acre school site right at the front of our beautiful community, and this site is ready to build. Sterling Ranch has identified more than 3 requested 12-acre elementary school sites south of Titan. These include the existing filing 1 site in filing 5, 1 site in filing 6, 1 proposed site in filing 7, and a middle school, high school site north of Waterton Road. These sites are safe, accessible, and prominent within the community. So I'm sure you've all read the second referral letter from Douglas County School District, and pursuant to the June 4th Douglas County School District updated referral letter, Douglas County School District and Sterling Ranch have been able to make progress towards an adequate school site dedication, and Douglas County School District no longer objects to preliminary plan 6. Sterling Ranch is committed to quality neighborhood schools, and we will continue to work with Douglas County School District. Now let's jump into the neighborhood plan. The neighborhood plan is made of 2 separate neighborhoods, D12 and D27. Traditional and cluster. Both neighborhoods are bisected by an open space area, right down the middle, which is a tributary of the Sterling Gulch. Neighborhood D12 is the cluster development neighborhood within the D1 planning area in the PD, so right here. This is also the neighborhood that is encompassed by a special character zone A zoning overlay, which establishes the lots adjacent to Plum Valley that need to be a minimum of 2.3 acres in size and limits all perimeter lots to 1 story in height. The special character zone A also requires C1, right there, that open space, multifunctional open space buffer along the west side of Plum Valley, which has been provided. The neighborhood plan also shows the character zones that are established for PP6, character zone 1 through 5. The character zones, as you know, set the development standards such as lot size and building height. All the minimum lot sizes and building height requirements from each character zone have been met. The natural terrain and drainage ways, riparian areas, and significant vegetation are preserved in preliminary plan 6. We have 73 acres of open space preserved and park area, multifunctional open space. So the light green is, the open preserve park area. The middle green, I guess you can call it, is the multifunctional open space. And then the dark pockets are our neighborhood parks. We have almost 6 acres of neighborhood parks in preliminary plan 6. Those improvements will be decided at the final plat, but I wanted to show you some pictures of just our current neighborhood community parks. This is our Providence Park. It's right by the edge. I office right by this park, and it's just beautiful. And before the rain last Wednesday, I was leaving work and I just stopped to take a picture because every night there are families and toddlers and teenagers and kids at our community neighborhood parks. They're very important element in Sterling Ranch. And we know that the residents, we just did a survey of parks and recreation, and they really do love, or over a majority of them said, we want more neighborhood community parks close to where we live. So we're really happy about the almost 6 acres worth of community parks. PP6 conforms with the 2013 Sterling Ranch Water Appeal. The Colorado Division of Water Resources, Department of Natural Resources, has confirmed that the proposed water supply for Sterling Ranch will not cause material injury to decreed water rights. The preliminary plan provides a permanent, dependable supply of water through the WISE system. Sewage treatments will be provided through Dominion. Dominion's current water supply are more than sufficient to meet preliminary Plan 6 water demands in terms of quality, quantity, and dependability. The WISE agreement contractually provides Dominion an average supply of 1,325 acre-feet per year of fully consumable renewable water. As of 2021, Dominion has 2,000 acre-feet a year of municipal water supply deliverable to Sterling Ranch. The total water demand for preliminary Plan 6 using the 2013 water appeal is estimated at 320.7 aqua-feet a year. So this shows that Sterling Ranch is using substantially less than the current standard of 0.4 acre-feet per home. This is massive water savings, and it means that Sterling Ranch has achieved some of the lowest per home water consumption in Colorado, and it sets the standards for the state and the region. The Sterling Ranch road design standards were designed to accommodate opportunities for safe and convenient vehicular, pedestrian, and bicycle connections with the subdivisions and adjacent neighbors. So Waterton Road, this is Moore Road, Waterton Road runs alongside the north of the project and then to the west to connect Rampart Road. And then we have 2 major streets in this project that intersect really the heart of Sterling Ranch. We have Eagle River Street and Sterling Ranch Avenue that provide great vehicular, pedestrian, bicycle connections to the regional traffic grid and future village center. But really the lines on the map don't do justice to what kind of infrastructure is going to be happening out there or what's already happened. So I took these pictures last week also. This is Eagle River Street, and you will notice detached sidewalks, bike lanes, parking lanes, vehicular lanes, beautifully landscaped medians that are watered, traffic lights. We are very proud that our community is a safe community, and traffic lighting like this helps keep the community safe. To the far right left, or far lower right corner, that is Blue River Street, and that is also has the irrigated median, the detached sidewalks, the bike lanes, the parking lanes, and of course our roundabouts, which we love in Sterling Ranch, that move traffic move a lot of traffic very safely. And it's just beautiful, and it's really massive infrastructure that we're putting out in Sterling Ranch. And I do want to mention that, we'll do the Waterton Road Agreement. I do want to mention with this that with the Waterton Road Development Agreement, we will be approving 35% of Moore Road. So I wanted to point out that that doesn't just end at Waterton Road, that we go up and do significant improvements on Moore Road. Waterton Road Infrastructure Agreement, I know you all know a lot about this. It's an innovative agreement that brings together Sterling Ranch Authority Board and Douglas County to maximize cost efficiencies and reduce the time frame for completing Waterton Road. We want to thank the Board of County Commissioners who just recently approved the First Amendment to the amended and restated Waterton Boulevard Infrastructure Development Agreement, because it's really a more efficient use of taxpayers' money. It allows us to have an interim guaranteed funding mechanism, letters of credit, and the Community Authority Board is very appreciative of this. They're your public sector partners, and it will allow them to contribute at the appropriate time. And we're going to open the bids on July 6th, so everybody's really interesting. We hope those bids come in at a good price. And so once again, I wanted to talk a little bit about infrastructure because the lines on the page and the map just don't do justice. This is Titan Road. And this is actually a good illustration of what Waterton Road is going to be, with the massive amount of drainage projects through Mile High Flood Control District will be happening all along Waterton Road. The detached sidewalks, those are 10-foot wide sidewalks. The landscape median, and then just a great picture of Sterling Ranch and all of the trails and connectivity that we have through the whole development, not only for vehicles, but for bicycles and pedestrians. And I know that you have probably seen on the tagline on many of our slides that say joy resides here. We like to say joy resides here because a lot of people are very happy in Sterling Ranch. It's a great place to live, work, raise a family, and retire, but also in honor of Joy Burns, who just recently passed away. And our community would not exist if not for the Burns family. Joy and Frank Burns purchased the Sterling Ranch from the Sterling family, and the rest is truly history. But her life's accomplishments were extensive. She was the first woman to lead the board of the University of Denver, founder of the Women's Bank, chair of the Stadium Commission, founder of the Burns School at the University of Denver, and so much more. Joy opened so many doors, particularly for sports and young women. She was instrumental in defining Denver and particularly Sterling Ranch. So thank you for letting me just honor her with about 30 seconds about what an amazing life and how much of history and how much we respect her in Sterling Ranch. Sterling Ranch already has 1,000 families living in high-quality homes and friendly, safe neighborhoods. Preliminary Plan 6 is an extension of Sterling Ranch vision of developing sustainable, walkable, and safe community. Preliminary Plan 6 meets all the legal requirements and exceeds all approval standards required. I would like to read into the record those approval standards that are most relevant for Preliminary Plan 6, and then we'll respectfully request your vote to approve Preliminary Plan 6. 40301, Preliminary Plan 6 conforms with the goals and objectives and policies of the 2040 Comprehensive Master Plan. 40302, Preliminary Plan 6 addresses all the design elements established in Article 4, Section 404. 40303, Preliminary Plan 6 conforms with Section 18A Water Supply Overlay District of the zoning resolution and the 2013 Sterling Ranch Water Appeal. 403.04, Preliminary Plan 4 provides for public wastewater collection and treatment system. The wastewater infrastructure will tie into the adjacent Sterling Ranch wastewater system and further enters Dominion collection and treatment systems. 403.07, Preliminary Plan 6 provides adequate transportation improvements. And 403.09, Preliminary Plan 6 has availability of all necessary services. And 403.10, no, there is no proposed density bonus for any of the lots. Thank you for your time this afternoon, and at the appropriate time, we look forward to answering questions.
Well, thank you very much. I heard from a wise individual that commissioners keep their title for life, so I'll refer to you as Commissioner Beckman with the acknowledgement that any would be lucky to have your experience and expertise. So thank you for that presentation. I will open it up for questions for Commissioner Beckman.
I have none, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner. I wonder if you could go back to slide 15, please, because I do have a question pertaining to what I saw there. In
Oh, the neighborhood plans?
right there. So in the C2 area, I notice on many of the other subsequent slides that, when we look into the D1 and D2 areas, we do see your, the design ideas for the site design plan. But I notice the C2 area really remains blank. I mean, can you speak to what is planned there? Because I know the folks in Plum Valley area, that's probably a real area of their concern. I wonder if you could take a few moments and speak to what your design and development ideas are for the C2 area.
I'm just going to confer with Brock Smethels for a minute. I'll turn it over to Brock.
Yes, ma'am.
No, come on up here.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Brock Smethels, BROCK-SMETHILLS. My address is 8155 Piney River Avenue, Suite 200, Middleton, Colorado, 80125. The commitment in the zoning in the C2 area, particularly on the north side of Plum Valley, are 2.5 acre residential lots.
Okay.
And that's what's spelled out. So that's what's north. On the west side of Plum Valley, there's a 5 acre landscape buffer, which is the C1 area you see to the east of the yellow large parcel. And then this C2 super block is the area that the school district has requested a subsequent rezoning application for a potential school site would be in that location. So right now it's just a 25 acre super block lot. Any future land use approval would require another hearing, another land use approval from the board. So,
Okay.
but there's, I believe, 4 residential lots, one here that's adjacent to Plum Valley, one here, and one there.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Smethels. Appreciate it.
And I noticed in the packet there was just a comment about wanting to provide additional information about conversations with the school district. It sounds like you've provided that. I just wanted to make sure you both had an opportunity to share.
We are communicating. In fact, Brock Smethels, our president, and the superintendent, Corey Wise, just met this week. And we are working toward a site improvement agreement, and we'll continue to work toward finding appropriate sites. Our goal has always been to have high-quality schools in Sterling Ranch. And so we are committed.
Yeah, to elaborate on that, we've had several different changes in administration at the school district in the past couple of years. We've had changing parameters of what they would like to see. They actually requested, and staff can support this as well, that the filing one school site be dedicated to them with the filing one plat, and then have subsequently said they would like a different site. Now they want it again. So I think the changing administration has caused the district to change their mind over time. We are working collaboratively with this current administration on a site dedication agreement. They have requested that we submit a rezoning application for a school site on the location that I showed. I have agreed to submit that. In the meantime, should the board not find that suitable in a future application, there is a 25 acre school site adjacent to filing 5. The school district has rejected that solely because it's adjacent to a water treatment plant. That potable water treatment plant is one of the cleanest water treatment plants in the state. It's the only one that doesn't use use chemical disinfection as its primary disinfection. So we have multiple different offerings. In fact, our next preliminary plan will most likely include a 30 acre approximately school site as well. So we have more than enough land to satisfy the district's concerns. And if you look at their referral letter, it mentioned that at the full build out of Sterling Ranch, which won't occur for 20 years, there isn't enough capacity at Thunder Ridge feeder. So we are incrementally looking to find sites for them as we develop, but we're less than a third of the way through the project, we've already identified, potentially over 7 or 60 acres of land for schools at this time.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Smuthles. Any additional comments or questions for the applicant?
I have a question for staff. I had, Ms. Beckman stated that I think 30% of improvements on Moore Road are paid for by Sterling Ranch. Is there someone on staff who can talk to me about that?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Brad Jackson with Engineering Services. I don't know specifically what requirements or percentages for Moore Road. I know that the county has been working with Sterling for the Waterton infrastructure agreement to help construction along for Waterton. What we've been doing with them for the traffic on Moore Road is to handle it with the final plats for 6. So we will require them to provide an updated traffic study with each of the final plats that will identify the capacity limitations and stuff on Moore Road, and then we'll work from there to make sure we secure the necessary improvements with each of those subsequent final plats in 6. Does that answer the question?
I appreciate that. I was familiar with Waterton Road, and I hadn't heard this 30% number before, so I wanted to find out from you what that meant.
Yep.
Okay.
Commissioner Thomas, if I may, the Waterton Road plans go north of the Excel parcel to fan in Waterton onto Moore Road and include a tie-in for the existing Moore Road into the southern connector. And then improvements were done on Titan Road and Moore Road with the intersection there. So on a lineal basis, approximately 35% will be improved along with the construction of the Waterton Road and the existing improvements to the Moore Road Titan intersection. So that's where that percentage came from.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Commissioner Teal.
I have no additional questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And with that, we will move into any public or citizen comment on this particular application. Do we have anyone in the audience that would like to comment?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Jan Dixon, 4271 Mustang Circle. We continue to have our concerns about the water supply from Dominion to the Sterling Ranch residents. And according to their water packet, their supply document, Dominion says that they can utilize a firm water supply of 2,000 acre feet per year. They did not particularly specify in this document where that 2,000 acre feet came from. They talked about associated water rights with Hocking Mine, reusable return flows, and Denver Basin groundwater supplies that are not presently being used in this particular application. And they referred us to their attachment B3. So looking at B3 chart that they supplied as their annual supply portfolio, they talk about the Aurora 230 agreement, and we agree that that exists and is renewable. They talk about the 250. It is available. However, 59 acre feet of that is Hocking water, and by decree, it is groundwater. They talk about the agreement with Castle Rock for 700, and then they talk about additional Hocking 62.5 acre feet. Again, they have it in renewable, but by decree, it is groundwater, and I'm sure you have seen those decrees because it has been submitted to the county. We have not seen any documentation showing that Dominion has completed the connections between Castle Rock and Sterling Ranch so that they can actually deliver the 700 acre feet or any of the wise water. So we would submit that that water is not available at approval, which is required by State Law 292303. We also would say that the Wise Water does not meet state law as a dependable water supply in that by agreement with the Wise, it is interruptible and does not meet the adequate water supply of being dependable. So therefore, we think that at this time, the board should deny this application until Sterling Ranch actually gets the connections and can deliver the estimated 2,000 acre feet that they say that they have available. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Herman. Is there any additional comment from the public on the application? Not seeing anybody present with us here. Is there anyone online, Troy?
Thank you, Commissioner. I have no hands raised.
Okay. I will return it back to the applicant to respond to citizen comment. And I'm closing citizen comment at this time so that the
Thank you. I'm
applicant can
sorry,
proceed. Sure.
Commissioner. We have the opportunity to bring up our new Director of Dominion, Andrea Cole. Andrea Cole. And she can do a short presentation or you can ask some specific questions. But as far as the Colorado Division of Water Resources, in the presentation, they do believe that the proposed water supply for Sterling Ranch Filing 6 is adequate and will not cause material injury to decreed water rights. This preliminary plan provides a permanent dependable supply of water through the WISE system. Sewage treatment will be provided by Dominion. And so they do support our project, the Colorado Division of Water Resources. And I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Cole.
Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. My name is Andrea Cole, and as Susan mentioned, I'm the General Manager for Dominion Water and Sanitation District. Our offices are at 9250 East Costella Avenue, Suite 315 in Greenwood Village. Spelling of my name, sorry, is Andrea and Cole, C-O-L-E. I do have a brief presentation, but I think to directly answer or address Ms. Dixon's questions, we can just move to one of the slides. I'm not sure. This advances. So this slide is, I apologize, a little difficult to read, but I will walk through this slide from east to west, describing a little bit more of our system. And so, which one is the pointer? Sorry, this one? The big one. All right. So moving across, we have the west side as well as the east side deliveries. So the west side, the west side supplies are the Aurora 230 agreement as well as the Aurora 250 agreement. As per the, as approved by the county, those are contractual agreements, so those are renewable sources per Douglas County standards. In addition, we have the FSC, IGA intergovernmental agreement with Castle Rock, which is the 700 acre feet of water that is also available and renewable per Douglas County standards as it is contractual water. In addition to the west side sources, we have the Wise Water, which is the 1325 acre feet per year that is available. Upon final completion of the Eastern Regional Pipeline, that water will be accessible to Dominion. In addition, we have firming water. As mentioned by Ms. Dixon, the Wise Water is an average variable water supply that requires firming. And for that, we have the Cherokee Ranch which Dominion has 900 acre-feet of water available there at the ranch that will be drilled through Denver Basin as well as Arapahoe Basin aquifer wells. Of that 900 acre-feet, 625 acre-feet of water is part of firming for WISE, and then 275 will be direct use for Dominion.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Cole. Does the board have any additional questions or comments for the applicant?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Cole.
I don't have any for the applicant. Is our water specialist, Applegate, present? Could they speak also, please?
Yes, commissioners. Can you hear me?
Yes, who are you?
I'm out here in the ether. Yes. Tom Hatton, Hatton. I'm with Applegate Group. What I can say to you is just to echo what Andrea Cole said, those previous water supplies of Aurora, Castle Rock, and Wise have been approved by the county, as far as I know. And then what I did was I evaluated the 900 acre-feet of Cherokee Ranch water, which I believe is new to you. And my conclusion there was that that water is sufficient and has dedicated water rights, decreed water rights. And so my conclusion on that was that there is 900 acre-feet of groundwater available by Sterling Ranch.
Thank you. Did you hear the testimony from Ms. Jan Dixon, actually Dr. Jan Dixon?
I don't recall, no.
Okay, thank you.
Well, and so while we have you on the phone, Mr. Hatton, so I think, you know, the question that Ms. Dixon raised or Dr. Dixon raised was with regard to the timeliness. Do you have any reservation about the time of delivery, or is adequacy sufficient right now under 18A?
Okay, first of all, I'm sorry, I didn't realize who you were referring to, and yes, I did hear that testimony.
Okay.
And is it timely as far as, can it come online fast enough? Is that what you're saying, asking?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, the previous waters are already in the works, and the Cherokee Ranch water can be online fairly quickly. Since the groundwater rights are decreed, the only thing that would be necessary is well permits issued by the state engineer per the decree, and then the building of the infrastructure, the wells and the pipelines. And since, of course, that this water won't have to come all online all at once. It will only be needed incrementally.
Right. And when you just say fairly quickly, what do you mean by that?
Well, within a year, there should be no issue with the infrastructure, the water wells, the permits.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hatton. So I guess I'll direct the same question back to staff with regard to timeliness and whether or not that time frame meets the standards that we have to review today.
So this is Jeanette Baer with Planning Services. As we'd mentioned, the 230, the 250, the 700, agreements that have already been put in place and evaluated for 1 through 5. That, of course, part of that is dependent on that pipeline being completed, and I think that's 99% completed at this point, and the current SIA IGAs say that has to be completed by the end of this year, I believe. So that is very, very close, already evaluated by the board. So really, the only new water that we were evaluating this time around was the Cherokee groundwater. It does have the necessary conservation easement over the top of that property to allow that groundwater to be used. They have title to the 900 acre-feet of water. There's a little bit of loss due to some augmentation plan requirements. But again, it would just involve drilling some wells and making the connection to one of the pipelines to bring that online. And what you have to evaluate for a preliminary plan is the feasibility of the infrastructure being put in place, and that's very standard, drilling the well and making those pipeline connections. Whereas the other pipeline was a little more unusual, and that's why it had greater scrutiny and kind of was given to the end of this year to be completed.
Okay, so I think I've heard enough with regard to feasibility. I'm fairly convinced there. I suppose the comment from Ms. Dixon was with regard to Title 29 and the assertion that we had to have some level of certainty at this point prior to approval. And I guess I would direct that question to Attorney Ingalls to clarify.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, it is 292303 was the statute referenced by Dr. Dixon, and that is the statute that requires the board to determine an adequate water supply at some stage during the development permit approval process. For the county, that is the subdivision portion of the process, and that's what we're here for today. That statute requires that you determine an adequate water supply in terms of quantity, quality, dependability, and availability. So when we're talking about the pipeline, we're talking about that fourth word, that availability. Will it be available to serve this development when this development needs that water? And so ultimately, that is a determination for the board to make. There were several different things presented or argued by Dr. Dixon, but that was one of them. Is the water available? And that's one of the components that the statute dictates you must determine. As far as quantity, quality, and dependability, those are the same terms that your zoning resolution and Section 18A uses. It's the same terms that we would apply to the water appeal approved for Sterling Ranch. But again, those are factors that you must determine based on the information you've heard. So whether it's by statute or your zoning resolution or the water appeal, you must be comfortable the water supply is adequate based on quality, quantity, dependability, and availability.
Outstanding answer, and thank you for that, Attorney Ingalls. So just to clarify, there's not a legal requirement that there be 100% availability as of today with regard to that particular pipeline. It's primarily feasibility, as Jeanette referenced.
Yeah, as far as the pipeline, I interpret that as will the water be available, so availability, will it be available at the time that it is needed? And if you are comfortable that criteria is met, then you can approve at least that criteria.
Okay, thank you. Further questions for the applicant? Yes, Jeanette.
Just to clarify too, the Dominion is using that 570 bridge water from Aurora that is good through 2028, and that's actually what is the supply currently until that pipeline is connected, which it, per the agreements is to be by the end of this year. So that's another factor that was evaluated previously by the board.
Okay.
Thank you, Jeanette and Commissioner
Yes.
Layden. If I could just provide some additional clarification. The infrastructure is available and will be completed when demands warrant that infrastructure. We currently have enough water to provide to all of our existing customers and to provide for the filing that we are discussing today. If we have to complete the infrastructure ahead of time or before it's needed, it will cause undue burden on our existing ratepayers within Sterling Ranch.
Understood. Thank you for that clarification, Ms. Cole. And availability when demanded, I think, is the key reference. So thank you for clarifying that for the record. Again, any additional questions or comments for the applicant or staff? Okay, sorry, go ahead.
I do. There were several letters from people in Plum Valley Heights. I think the name is Schiffline, Christofferson, and Porter. And I realize that this neighborhood, is my understanding, received water from you all. But there are several concerns here they're raising about heights, lot sizes, wildlife corridors. Sterling Ranch also states under compliance that it has no conflicts with adjoining lands, and this is just not true. This is very much a conflict if they want to deviate from the approved PD. Have you spoken with these people and resolved these issues?
Brett, can you pull up the neighborhood plan? Pull up the neighborhood plan. Yes, Commissioner. One of the fun parts of having a long-term project like this is that a lot of the people who were around during the original zoning who helped come up with the commitments of the original zoning are no longer in the community. I believe we both know one of the big key mark people was Jack McCormick. He had credit for being responsible for getting water to Plum Valley Heights, and he unfortunately has passed. Lois no longer lives in the neighborhood. But currently, Roxborough actually serves Plum Valley. There's a pipeline that connects from the water treatment plant to Plum Valley Heights. We ended up dedicating an easement to allow that, or to facilitate that, and then the cab is actually expended over, what, Denise, $300,000 at least? Removing and replacing that line for additional redundancy for that service, which our taxpayers will end up paying for. But you know, there were some of Ms. Shefflin's comments are this wildlife corridor. This was a request of the county that be a preserved wildlife corridor during the original zoning. There are comments that we're funneling wildlife into Plum Valley Heights. That this was a designated wildlife corridor from the county's wildlife experts. As far as special character zone A, we are in compliance with the requirements in SCCA, and this is what this neighborhood plan illustrate. Effectively, the character zone gives us discretion outside of these perimeter lots as to the densities associated with it, as long as we're within the special character zone requirements. I believe both staff and ourselves feel that we are currently meeting those criteria. So I think a lot of it is just, unfortunately, not liking what was approved at the time of the zoning from the current residents in Plum Valley Heights. Does that answer your question?
Have you talked to these individuals? Did you read the letters, and have you visited with them at all?
We have read the letters. I believe Mark Kiefer, Susan's predecessor, did attend a couple of meetings with the HOA back in the day, and has continued to have conversations, or did continue to have conversations. We have not had those since Susan joined us, and ultimately found that we were in compliance with our zoning and didn't know what else we could do to appease Plum Valley than to comply with the current rules and regs that we have in our zoning.
Okay, thank you. I have no other questions.
Thank you, Commissioner Thomas. Thank you to the applicant. We'll close the applicant's presentation and bring it back to the board for any further discussion and/or a motion. And I'm sorry, before we do that, I should ask of the applicant if you will accept the 6 conditions as presented.
We do accept the one clarification I would ask is that on the wildlife material that be allowed to be posted on the CAB website to satisfy the criteria that it be publicly available to prospective homeowners. I don't know that there's a way to make sure that every single homeowner gets a packet of documents that has the wildlife material that Carter Parks and Wildlife is asking for.
Okay. And I'll just turn that to staff if that meets the recommendations that the county might have with regard to that particular condition.
I think, this is a comment that's relatively new to Sterling Ranch. It's shown up in other projects in Highlands Ranch or in other places. I know in those developments, they have provided wildlife information as part of your closing documents. I guess that would be a consideration that could be made. It's if it could be online, I guess it would just be
I mean, I think the online version would, suffice for like subsequent, home buyers. Maybe for the initial home buyer, they could be given the wildlife literature at the closing. It's not something we've really thought about till it's just been raised here, but I'm sure having it on the web is a good idea. People, I think, tend to go to the HOA website to look for information. We find too, though, sometimes, people are not that, depending on where they're coming from, they're maybe not as familiar with with kind of the wildlife characteristics of the county. And so kind of letting people know that they can expect critters is the reason we have this and the reason that the Division of Wildlife asked for it. So
Thank you.
I don't know.
Comments or discussion from the board?
If I could just add, I remember when Commissioner Holbert was here, and we had a hearing. I don't remember what the applicant was, but there was a discussion about what kind of literature and how they got it at the closing. And while I understand it's a problem, it's more work, it's what we have approved since I've been here. And if we're going to change it, I think there should be discussion before it happens instead of just as we're getting ready to approve an application. So I would like it to remain consistent across the county.
So let me clarify, we'll do our best to make sure it's at the in the closing documents, but I just, to satisfy the intent, we'll also have it on the website, just to make sure, because inevitably home builders are the ones who do the closings. You know, we can provide them documents. They don't always get all of those documents at the closing table. So I'm just proposing that we'll do both, but to meet the intent, we're going to try and move more onto the website side.
Okay, and I'm saying that I would like to be consistent, that since I've been here, it has been documents that are provided at closing, and this was a conversation I remember with Commissioner Holbert.
All right, well, then we accept the condition.
I didn't understand what you said, I'm sorry.
I said we'll accept the condition as written.
Okay, thank you.
Further discussion from the board?
I'll go ahead and, I'm in favor of approval at this stage of the game. I really appreciate Dr. Dixon and her comments that she provided today. I'm probably unusual on the board in that after 6 years on the Castle Rock Town Council and, supervising the water operations and actually approving many of the water agreements with Dominion and Sterling Ranch, I don't share her doubts at all pertaining to the availability of Castle Rock water in compliance with the agreements. Matter of fact, I'm pretty confident that Castle Rock can deliver that, and Dominion can treat it appropriately, and Sterling Ranch can make use of it. So I do appreciate her comments. I think water availability in Colorado is something you must keep an eye on. But based on my personal experience and my professional experience, I don't share any of those doubts. I do appreciate the applicant and their working with the folks in the Plum Valley area, particularly on addressing some of the concerns that the residents of Plum Valley have about the planning area with the school district and with the high school. I know that's something that was an issue of concern, so I really appreciate the applicant working with that. And then furthermore, I appreciate the applicant, and it's very clear in the design, I found, that, working to, phase density from a lighter density to some of those higher density areas within the property, but on the edge of the property adjacent to your neighbors, keeping it at a lower density. I think that's pretty critical. We are all neighbors here. So we do need to treat each other as such. So I appreciate it. I think the applicant, for a preliminary plan, I believe the applicant has done what we needed and is hitting our approval standards.
Thank you, Commissioner Teal. And I would just echo that based on my review of the 403 et sequitur approval standards, I believe the legal criteria has been met. And I will be in favor, but I really appreciate the applicant being here with Commissioner Beckman, a lot of experience, and for the whole team to show up says a lot. I think the commitment to community engagement, obviously the dedication to open space and ensuring that educational opportunities for future students are met is significant. So it's always a thrill to see future legacy communities arise. I sort of anecdotally hearken back to my father-in-law working with Mission Viejo and Shea Homes when Highlands Ranch was coming out of the ground, and to see Sterling Ranch develop well and responsibly is an encouragement. So I will be in support. Any further discussion from the board?
I would like to make a comment.
Sure.
I know that you really struggled with the school district, that you thought you had something and then you didn't, and then you gave them something, they didn't want it. And so we understand your frustrations in trying to get these school sites identified. So thank you for your continued work on getting that done. And I was pleased to read the letter and hear that they were okay going forward with this preliminary plat for now. And so thank you for all your work on that. I know it's been difficult. And when I read through all these approval standards on Sunday night, I believe that they are all met. So thank you. I will be in support.
Thank you, Commissioner Thomas. Anything further from the board? Okay, seeing none, I will accept a motion.
I have a motion to approve the Sterling Ranch Preliminary Plan 6 with 6 conditions as presented. Project file SB 2019-073.
I'll second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And that motion is approved. Congratulations, and that will conclude our land use hearing. Thank you very much.